What's going on, everyone? So the Orlando Magic, right, traded for Desmond Bane. And, there's a lot of questions about like the market, what did that do for the market, so on and so forth, right? And they clearly value Desmond Bane. Like, whether you think that that sets the market or not, they clearly value Desmond Bane enough to give up that type of return. Now, part of it was to get off of KCP, at least a first was to get off of KCP, maybe the first in the pick swap or whatever, but Desmond Bane at least went for 3 firsts, right? So that in and of itself is pretty hefty, right? But Orlando's a team that's trying to compete now, trying to contend immediately in a wide open Eastern Conference, right? With, Boston likely going to be on a hiatus for at least a year. And then you have Cleveland, yes, who's going to be very good next year again. You have Indiana, who, every year is taking strides. So they take another stride now and are in the NBA Finals. And then, of course, the New York Knicks, right? So could they be in the mix with that? You get the right matchups. You go on a run like in Indiana, all of a sudden you're in the NBA Finals, right? That's what they're trying to do. Well, one of the things that they still need badly is playmaking, right? Shot creation, playmaking, right? And the Lakers just so happen to have a guy in an Austin Reaves that could solve a lot of those things for Orlando, right? Now, one thing that I do want to say is right now, Orlando runs through Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, right? Those are the two guys that pretty much have the ball in it. So like a Jalen Suggs, for example, is a guy that is essentially there for a 3-and-D guy. He's just there to initiate, bring the ball up, get it to Franz, get it to Paolo, and then they kind of operate and everything kind of orbits around them. But they've also really had their struggles offensively. They've not been a great offensive team, obviously shooting team. And there were a lot of times, particularly in these last playoffs you saw, where it was just like, if they had a guy that can kind of settle things down and get guys involved as well as create outside of just relying solely on Franz and solely on Banchero, they might be able to do something here. So I do think a guy like an Austin Reaves does make a lot of sense for them. Lakers aren't just going to trade Austin Reaves just to trade Austin Reaves, nor should they, right? But Lakers are going to have to make some decisions on Austin Reaves, right? He's going to be due a new contract. The Orlando Magic, right, are in a weird spot, right? Because they are going to be a second apron team next year, not this year, coming up next year, and well into the second apron, right? Because they are $17 million out from being in the second apron. Paolo Banchero is going to get $40+ million. So they're going to be 15 to 20 million in the second apron just on his contract. So the Lakers have expiring contracts, right? That could maybe be beneficial to a team like Orlando to kind of, structure some things. And it would probably be in Orlando's best interest to get the guys that they want now before they get into the second apron and they're not able to get that. Obviously, right now it's Bane, Franz, and Paolo, right? Those are the 3 main guys. Well, if you could get an Austin Reaves to pair with those 3 guys, and now you got your core 4 guys. And because again, they have the defense, they have the size, like they have everything that plugging a guy like Austin Reaves in could do wonders for, right? Give him some 3-point shooting, give him some self-creation, give him everything. And Orlando has an abundance of guys that the Lakers could really use, right? Wendell Carter Jr., they're going to have to make a decision on and have to pay, right? Well, could you maybe work out something where you get a Wendell Carter Jr.? You look at a Jalen Suggs. He's making $30+ million a year, right? And again, yes, he makes a lot of sense as that 3-and-D style guard for them, but you just got Desmond Bane, right? Again, you could use some self-creation. So, could you maybe work out a deal to where you get like a Jalen Suggs and a Wendell Carter Jr., maybe you get a Jonathan Isaac in the deal because they got to make some decisions for him and they're looking to shop him, right? Maybe you're doing something where it's like, hey, your 3 core guys are Bane, Paolo, Franz, right? Austin Reaves could be that 4th for you. So now you got Reaves, Bane, right? Franz, and Paolo. There's your core 4 guys. You have several guys at the center position, several wings, all of that, right? We can give you guys like Rui and Kleba and all these other guys that can be, bench depth for just this year, but clear off, you could literally, well, I mean, Austin Reaves is probably going to make Jalen Suggs' salary, but okay, you're going to pay Austin Reaves, but we clear off all the other salary because you don't have to pay Paolo. You're going to be a second apron team no matter what. Unless you just want to go with Bane, Paolo and Franz and just want expiring contracts, then fine. Lakers can oblige them in that way too, right? Maybe you can still go get a Suggs and a Wendell Carter Jr., right? But I'd imagine they'd want a guy like Austin Reaves if they're trading those kind of key core guys. But those guys are exactly what the Lakers need, right? If you could do Austin Reaves with Wendell or Rui Hachimura, Kleba, Gabe Vincent, right? Like basically salary filler guys for a Wendell Carter Jr., Jalen Suggs, and a Jonathan Isaac. Right? Probably give up whatever you have to give up to get those guys. Because now you have a legit versatile 3-and-D wing in Jonathan Isaac, who only concern with him is just his injury history. But if he's in a bench role playing 15, 20 minutes a night, I think you're fine there. And then you get the legit power forward center in Wendell Carter Jr., right? They could spread the floor and do all that stuff. Ideally, I'd love him as your 4. Like if you were to go get a Nick Claxton and then have Wendell Carter Jr. as your 4, like now you have these dual bigs that would be great. But you have LeBron right now. But Wendell Carter Jr., right? Could you maybe just kind of, maybe slot him as a starter, maybe you have him as your backup. But Jalen Suggs is ideal. I mean, outside of like Dyson Daniels might be the best fit alongside Luka Doncic, right? Because you're talking about one of the best guard defenders, on-ball defenders, 3-and-D guys in the league, slotted alongside a Luka Doncic, right? So, I mean, literally, if you wanted to, you could go with because you don't have Austin Reaves. Like, literally, the 3 guys you get, you could start next to Luka and LeBron, right? You could go, if you wanted to, Luka, Suggs, Isaac, LeBron, and Wendell Carter Jr., right? And you have now the defense, the switchability, the shooting, like everything that you could want in that regard. Again, I'd probably prefer Jonathan Isaac off the bench, as well as, at least this year, Wendell Carter Jr. off the bench, kind of finish this year with LeBron, see where he goes. And then, again, if you get a Nick Claxton or something like that, which I don't know if you'd be able to because you're working out your trades. So maybe Wendell Carter Jr. is your starting center this year for that. But regardless, point is like, I think the Lakers would be in good shape in that regard, right? So, I don't know. I look at a team like Orlando, and I know I've talked about Orlando a lot recently, but it's because they're in this weird spot that they're going to have to figure stuff out. If they're going to go for it, they need to go for it this year because they're not going to be able to do it next year, right? Because, again, they're going to be a second apron team. So, they need to either A, clear off salary to not be a second apron team next year, which means they need to clear about $30 million off their books for next year. Because again, Paolo's going to get a new contract and some of these other guys. So bare minimum, they're going to need to clear $30+ million off their books, right? So either they need to go that route or they're going hey, let's go get the pieces to try to be one of, if not the best teams in the Eastern Conference and maybe go win championships because we're going to be a second apron team regardless, right? So then they're going to go look to land guys. And it's like, okay, well, what does that team need, right? They could use some more shooting and stuff like that, but they also could use some real playmaking and shot creation. So I look at a team like there's teams like Houston, Orlando, like some of these teams I look at really could use Austin Reaves, right? Because that's what, if you're going to trade out, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a team that needs, wants, and values Austin Reaves enough to sell the farm in order to get him, right? Right? That are like, like Orlando, look at what they did for, Desmond Bane, right? Well, it's like, oh, well, we're limited on picks now. Well, what do we need to do? We need to get off salary, right? Especially if we're going to bring in Austin Reaves to have a new contract. So maybe you can work something out to where you trade, right? Like that's what I would do if I were the Lakers. I'd be looking at these teams that are desperate for that playmaking, desperate for a player like Austin Reaves, to where you can get guys back that give you as much, if not more, production and are better fits and solve multiple needs. Right? I don't think the Lakers need to trade Austin Reaves for a super duper star. Right? I'm fine with the Lakers. Like, I don't think you trade Austin Reaves for a bag of chips, though. Right? But if you can turn Austin Reaves as like your main asset into multiple needs, right? Like, yes, they're not supers. Like, Jalen Suggs isn't a superstar, but he's the exact kind of player you want alongside Luka for the long term. He's young enough to where, and he's locked up for multiple years to where he can slot in alongside Luka long term. And again, he is one of the best defensive guards in all of basketball, right? And then get a guy to Wendell Carter Jr. There you go. You solve your center position in the process too. Or maybe it's a 3-team trade, whatever, right? Whatever you have to do, you need to find those teams that are looking for it, right? I don't know if the Lakers trade Austin Reaves. Chances are it's probably not going to happen, right? And you can make an argument it'd be better for the Lakers to give Austin Reaves the new contract and then trade him, but depends on how much that contract is. If Austin Reaves signs, whatever, a 5-year, $150 million contract, then yeah, I think Lakers could easily trade him. But if he's like 5 years, $200 million, he's making $40 million a year, then no, I don't think, because teams aren't going to want to overpay for Austin Reaves, right? But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, pass question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.